Hello and welcome to the webinar number 53 of the Zebra BI webinar series. I'm Andre of Zebra BI, and today I'll dive into FP&A and specifically how AI can help you today and in the future get much more productive. What are the real life use cases that are working today? Real life use cases that are not so much working today, despite all the hype and so on. Let me share my screen. Trying to find my screen share. All right, cool. Coming up. Screen. All right, and we're live. All right, so AI in FP&A, from raw data to reporting automation. Now, the AI revolution is in full spring, especially in data and analytics and in decision making. The promise is big. Of course, as an FP&A professional, you're probably dealing with 200 ways of variance analysis and what if scenario planning and forecasting and so on, right? Oh, what if AI could help you automate all those tasks, but at the same time, that you would be able to trust it that the analyses are correct, that the charts and visualizations that you can automate today would make sense and would be basically ready for a board meeting or something, right? That would be a dream come true actually for FP&A. So I believe FP&A is actually an area where AI can have a huge, massive added value, right? So, and the AI technology is definitely has has the right kind of properties to make that happen. So massive processing power far beyond human capacity, for sure, right? Advanced pattern recognition with different types of AI methods, to the point where arguably we could call it reasoning. And all that, of course, if done correctly, can lead to massive cost reduction and extreme efficiency in your work. The latest sort of trend in AI is also to move from tools basically to use AI as a tool, to actually agents and workflows. So which means even more automation, because an agent can actually do work for you, also in an active way, not just as a passive tool. So huge promises in task automation. And maybe the fifth big reason is also accessibility, because the user interface with AI today, it's in natural language. So basically now you can talk to your data, you can talk to AI, which is basically ultimately user-friendly user interface for a business user. You don't have to program, you don't have to click around different types of settings and learn tools and so on. You just work using your natural language, which is great. All right, but let's check the reality, right? Where are we today? As an FP&A professional, you're probably still working in Excel, right? Still creating lots of Excel spreadsheets, calculations and what if analysis and so on, right? So that's still a reality today. Basically, technology from the 80s, but it's like still the backbone of uh, a lot of data analysis in FP&A. Then add to that creation manual creation of uh, various types of slide decks for meetings, for board meetings, for as material for decision making, and so on. So and now the promise maybe uh, 20 years ago or even 30 years ago, basically in the 90s, right, was that, oh, business intelligence, BI technology, BI tools will solve this problem, right? And people will start using those tools as self-service BI tools very efficiently. Everything will be there, and we'll just use the tools in a very natural way and fast, and everybody will be empowered by this technology to understand the data, to get into the uh, insights and support decisions, make actions on top of that. But what happened in reality is that, of course, yes, BI tools have made a revolution with data warehousing, and then modern tools like Power BI added many layers on top of that with dashboards and so on. And the reality right now is that in basically every company, there are still those two parallel worlds, two separate tracks or swim lanes where, FP&A and financial professionals are still working in Excel and still doing manual PowerPoint slides, while a lot of standardized, governed reports have been uh, automated, are being updated on a daily basis, and have helped solve the reporting use case. But those reports are static. They don't change from day to day, from month to month, right? There are cycles that are quite long. They need to, of course, IT professionals are involved in creating them, in maintaining them. It requires expert skills like DAX language, M language, right? The Power Query, for example. Data modeling techniques, star schema, data warehousing techniques, and uh, data loading strategies, and so on. And then on top of that, data visualization, reporting, calculating all the KPIs, and bringing in benchmarks and plans and targets, and putting all this together. It's the learning curve to master this, or the lead time to actually implement this in a company is significant, and it's quite long, right? So all this today we do call the old world because the AI revolution has happened. Of course, the adoption is not there, but we have entered a new world where the data is being consolidated, integrated, right? And then basically you can go from your data to the insight in one go, without all the layers in this BI architecture, with the help, of course, of AI and AI agents. So this is possible already today. How well does it work with different tools? We'll see in this webinar, but this is the new world now. AI agents will be creating dashboards for us, reports for us. They will allow you as FP&A professionals to explore, to explore the data in the natural language, to do the analysis, do the deep dives, do the scenario planning, do the benchmarking, what if analysis, and all the variance analysis, everything that you do on a daily basis, monthly basis, weekly basis, and then collaborate around this, create boarding packs automatically out of it, again with the help of AI, right? So this is what I'm going to be talking today about, and I will present the state of this technology today with 3 clear use cases, very practical, and I'll do it live with the Zebra AI AI service today. So to give you some inspiration, but also to explain how exactly you should go about it. All right. So the agenda for today. We'll dive into those 3 use cases. So first, AI-driven business dashboards, how you can create dashboards from raw data, basically, in one go with AI. And then in the second step, ad hoc analysis, scenario planning, variance analysis, what you can do, what can you do today, what works reliably and what is tricky and what does not work. And then the last part will be just automating some basic tasks that take a lot of time today, where AI can absolutely help you be much more productive, like creating slides for board meetings. Then we'll summarize this. What is the impact of AI on FP&A, unlocking all these use cases, and in the end, I will give you a playbook, what you should do tomorrow and in the next year, at the beginning of next year, to actually make it work in your company. So stick around until the end of the day. We'll share a lot of resources and download links to help you out. And there'll be a Q&A session at the end. We are also recording this session. So if you're just wondering, we will send you the recording afterwards. All right, so I'm Andre, the founder and CEO at Zebra BI, but I'm not alone today. We also have Benjamin, our team lead for Zebra AI, who is the true data scientist and AI engineer leading the development of Zebra AI in our company. Benjamin, would you say hi to our audience?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Andre. Hey, everyone. I'm Benjamin. I'm the AI team lead here at Zebra BI. Me and my team will mostly be in the background during this session and will help answer any questions that you might have. So I encourage everyone to post any questions you might have in the chat or in the Q&A section, and we'll get back to you. And then also I'll join Andre in the end again to answer some of the most popular questions live on stage. So that's it. Back to you, Andre.
Super, thank you, Benjamin. So keep your questions rolling in the chat, and the team will make sure that we answer them in the end. Thank you so much, Benjamin. So what's changing, right, with the new technology? Basically, the promise is AI will automate all the work, and then FP&A will elevate the impact, right? That's really maybe the holy grail of FP&A, right? But in order to set this up, you need to set up quite a few things. So first of all, the number one ingredient and number one prerequisite for efficient AI in FP&A, it's unified, validated data, right? So what's changing today, teams who are successful in adopting AI, they have strategies in place to consolidate the data, and they are working on it. So it's just the data is the new oil, and yeah, you need to just make sure that your data is ready. Not just AI won't work if you just upload some PDF documents or messy Excel reports, formatted reports into AI. AI is not magic. AI needs proper data with long data series, extracted from ERP systems or data warehouses and so on. So much more focus on clean and validated data that is ready for AI. So we'll dive into it later on. Once you have that, you can automate dashboards and KPIs for sure. There are tools that are very successful in this regard. And of course, natural language analysis. We all know ChatGPT, but how does it work in FP&A? Is ChatGPT enough? We'll see. Now, the last part is automation. So the agentic AI and workflows, AI workflows that help you get from an insight actually then into automation, automatically create slide decks for boards and so on. And this is exactly what we are going to unpack today. And I'll start with automated dashboards, right? So I'll show you an example, basically how you can go from raw data in Excel or in a database in Power BI or SQL database and so on, to a fully interactive dashboard with insights in one go without DAX and so on. So let's look at the following example. So now we have a data. AI is performing data analysis, trying to understand the data. It's from the sales domain and so on. And boom, it just created a full dashboard with multiple charts. It's fully interactive, and it's giving you the summary and advice, right? So this is just a looping video here, right? But we'll show this live in a minute. So this is a reality today, and it can work quite well if AI is properly properly trained. If the AI agent knows the domain of the data. So what are the properties of those dashboards that AI can create today? So number one, of course, AI is very good actually at language. It speaks English, it speaks your native language, German, French, and so on. So it can definitely word some insights for you. That's what LLM technology, of course, brought. So relevant key messages, chart titles, comments, and so on. That's for sure. That problem is solved. Interactive charts with certain tools. Most AI services today generate certain charts. Now, will they generate a waterfall chart with variances? Maybe in some cases, but definitely this is what Zebra AI does very, very well, because we have integrated our IBCS visuals into Zebra AI. So you now have interactive charts that display the variances and so on. So all the variance analysis is done basically out of the box. So this is one part where AI can be very, very reliable actually. Then report slicers, right? So it's, going beyond just creating one chart with AI, you can really create a dashboard with slicers that are interactive, so people can then switch between month to date and year to date, change the month, add filters for different filters for different business dimensions like cost centers, cost accounts, countries, product groups, and so on. Of course, explanatory insights, as I've mentioned, on a level of a chart, on a level of a data point, or just aggregated or summarized for the whole dashboard. This is actually where LLMs are very good, as we have established already, giving you like executive summaries and even business advice and recommendations, what to do next, or what to explore next, or what your actions should be, right? So that's more tricky, I would say, for sure. But at least to a certain degree, AI can help here. And then once you have this dashboard created from the data, and once the AI agent understands the domain of your business, understands the data that you have uploaded, has the right context, of course, then you can start chatting and talking to your data to explore further, right? And then we come to use case number 2, which is ad hoc analysis and scenario planning, which of course is one of your core tasks as an FP&A professional or a controlling professional, right? So let me try to break this down into 5 important categories for FP&A, and we'll get very specific here. So first, root cause analysis, right? So that's the typical question you get from your managers. Oh, why? Something has happened, and why has something happened? What is the cause for it, right? And those are typical questions like, oh, what were the main drivers for the revenue, for the variance versus plan in North America? Like, oh, can you break down the gross margin by price volume mix, or, different types of questions where AI can be extremely efficient and will help you a lot if you supply the proper data in the proper format, meaning especially, enough breakdown categories, enough columns in your tables, and enough time series. So enough data, enough history of the data so that AI can analyze all the trends and so on. So the more complex data set you have, basically more added value you can get from AI, right? If you just upload a simple table, what can you expect, right? So the insights will probably be trivial, and you will not learn anything new, right? But if you have a lot of columns, then AI is for sure much faster and much more efficient in understanding all of the trends, doing all this slicing and dicing and filtering and so on. So this works quite well already today with the typical AI methods that we have available. Now, scenario planning, that's another, that's more interesting, and it requires a bit more reasoning power. Show a scenario where certain prices would be increased for 5%. What would happen if calculate adjusted EBITDA by excluding certain costs, like one-time costs, like legal costs or something like that, right? So now here it can be a bit more tricky, but certain scenarios can work really well already today, especially if the data is there in the data set, and if you are prompting with the right level of detail. So if you're asking in sort of detailed enough way that AI agent would understand the question. So that's kind of the second category. Then third category, just completely out ad hoc analysis on top of what you had. Some breakdowns by different categories. Oh, show me the top 10 customers, which SKUs had the largest variance versus forecast, and so on. So this is a very good type of analysis where AI can definitely help you a lot. Now, benchmarking is the next one, and if it's benchmarking based on internal data, then this is something that AI can definitely help you with already today, but it can also pull some data, maybe from internet, or hopefully it's already in the AI model. AI model already was trained and already knows certain benchmarks. I'll have a very interesting example here, where basically you calculate your gross profit margins, and then the AI will calculate this for you, and then in the next step we will ask it, oh, can you now compare this to an industry benchmark, right? So if the model if you're using the right model, you might get very interesting benchmarks to just pull them out and compare them with your data. So it can provide more context to it if you're using it in the right way. And then the last scenario would be forecasting, right? So different types of forecasts based on history, where of course this is the most tricky one, because if you'll just say, create a forecast based on some historical data with a short prompt, all right, maybe of course, you'll get maybe a linear trend or something, but is this a valid business forecast in 98% or 99%? Probably not. So you will have to supply more data also about certain future events or expectations and so on. But if you put this in and spend more time in creating this prompt, right, and giving more instructions to the AI agent how exactly to do the forecast, then you can actually get to solid results. At least as a draft forecast, for sure it can shorten your time here already today with available methods. So let's dive into a couple of live examples. All right, now disclaimer, I'm doing this completely live. So anything can happen right now. All right, let's head over to zebraai.com. So this is the zebraai.com, and you can just simply log in here. So I'm already logged in. So this is the service that we have created. There's a free plan and there's a free trial as well. So you can do the same things as I'm doing right now. All right, and we'll start with a couple of, let's start with a sales demo. So I'll just upload a file. Let's do a sales demo. I'll just upload a very typical file with some sales data that was exported from an ERP system. And now I'm using just plain CSV values, right? So now it's loading. I'm sorry, it's a bit slow because I'm running the videos and all the stuff. So okay, now it's loaded. So as you see, we have just some dates. Then we have some products, some customers, salespersons, business units, regions and countries and so on. And then, of course, we also have a couple of metrics, like my revenue, so gross profit and the revenue and gross profit basically, and the costs and cost plan. Okay, so just typical sales data with some costs. All right, and let's just hit analyze here and let AI do its thing. All right, so now AI agent. Of course, now first the data needs to be loaded until the end. All right, now AI started processing. First of all, it can detect the domain of the data. Of course, this is the sales domain. It's likely about tracking sales transactions across various products and customers, detailing aspects such as revenue, cost, profit, and so on. So it's understood the data quite well. And now it starts thinking about, oh, what kind of analysis would be interesting? Okay, identifying trends in product sales over time, comparing performance across different regions, and so on. And now it already started planning a dashboard. So after it understands the data, it will actually spit out a complete dashboard with several charts. So we have actually four visuals here. We have a chart, like a monthly trend chart here. Of course, you can, with the Zebra BI visuals running inside, so you can have different types of visualizations here. And it also returned 3 different tables. So let's take a closer look now. So we have this is a regional breakdown, okay, by regions, North America, Europe. So something going on with North America, very much below the plan, and also negative growth, like 25% and so on. Let's just check what were the actual values. All right. So it's actually the biggest region, right? And it has the biggest negative variance versus plan, negative growth, and so on. So, all right, we'll definitely explore this one further. But then it also, it created like a top, what is this? Like top 20 products analysis of the products versus previous year and plan, right? So it actually calculated all the variances and did all this analysis, and it has analyzed it and remembered it, right? So it does have this knowledge now, and that's why it also returned the key message here. So revenue shortfall, all right, we're a bit in red here in September. So it actually detected the last month, right, which is a typical situation during the year, right? You have your actuals up until the current month, and then you have the rest of the year where maybe you have a forecast, which is actually the case here. So it actually pulled in that was the plan, right? So yeah. So you only have the plan for the end of the year, right? And it has detected the North American, gross profit. It's an issue here, and specifically in one product, right? So, all right, that's the first scenario. How to create the dashboard? It's just completely automated, directly from raw data. Now let's start exploring. All right, so the first type of analysis is this why, okay, get to the bottom of certain things, just this root cause analysis, deeper variance analysis. Let's check the North America. So in September, so I'll just ask why is North America below? Okay, could ask plan or previous. Let's go for previous year. In September 2022. All right. Now, of course, it'll try to understand the question. Understand, get to the right interpretation of the question, understand the specific data points that I'm asking about, and we'll we'll filter the data, do various breakdowns in parallel, see if there are certain important variances in any of those breakdowns. And this is now the power of this technology, because it can just like work through a lot of columns at the same time and do this analysis for you, right? And we already see some results here. And we are also, it is quite interesting, we can also see how it's thinking, right? I'll show you exactly what this bot here is thinking after it finishes, right? So yeah, it looks like both United States and Canada are below the plan. Yeah, this variance is much bigger, but also in relative terms, like 30%, right? So it's definitely US. And now you have the breakdown also by some product categories. All right, so it's basically US and the variables business unit. Like you could maybe highlight this or something. Let's just put it in, just use bold here. This is just for your analysis. Yeah, and also like this product. All right, okay, that's what actually it was telling me right in the beginning. Okay, it's the product that was highlighted here. So again, it's exactly this product, but we also know it's in United States and variables, right? So basically, in just one simple question, we got to the bottom. Of course, now we could go deeper and deeper and have a really thorough understanding of what's going on. All right, so all this type of like drill down, break down by certain category, and so on. This is something where AI, can absolutely help you a lot today with existing technology and existing level of reasoning of the AI models that we have today. Now, of course, now you can ask also some other things. So let's try to do a different example. So not just like explain the causes for a certain data category, but just a completely an ad hoc analysis of something that was not even pinpointed in the original dashboard, right? So here I can actually see what are my columns. What are my columns? So what's interesting? Salespersons. All right. That would be interesting. Let's go for this. Let's just ask it to provide a some sort of benchmarking table of the salespeople versus their plan. Let's go for that. Display, or let's just say benchmark salespeople, and I think it actually, the name of the column is salespersons, but I'll just go intentionally by salespeople, different name, benchmark salespeople versus plan versus their target, right? Or let's just say target to see if it will understand. Versus target in September 2026 versus, okay, target. Let's go for this. Okay, so this should be actually quite easy if everything is in the data, then of course you need to check now what is it's thinking. I think it found the right columns. All right, boom. Oh, it's done. All right. I'll show you the top and bottom perform. Okay, so basically I got my results. So these are the salespeople. The salespeople here in a table versus plan. So that was correct. The plan achievement, basically their performance is calculated here. So the variance to plan is here. Also the relative variance to plan, it's all here. And I asked about September 2022. So it's all there, right? But on top of that, it's also giving me my top performance exceeded the target and then below target. All right, so that's great. So basically, and you can do the same thing here. So maybe you can just make this a bit bigger. Super. So basically, yeah, now I can just go and click, because all these, these are not just some static charts that AI would invent, right? In Zebra AI, why is it working well, and why AI does not equal LLM, right? Because in order for an AI agent to really help you with mission critical tasks and data in FP&A, you cannot just use ChatGPT, right? The agent needs to have specific tools that it is using. So not inventing, some variances, but actually needs to understand the data, select the right data, and then use this selection as an input into a variance analysis tool that the AI agent is using, right? So this is basically the recipe for quality AI agent that does not hallucinate, right? It needs a lot of tools: variance analysis tool, outlier detection tool, and so on, right? And this is how basically Zebra AI is built, so that it uses the right tools. So the variance is here. It's properly calculated, and then as a user you can simply click here. To basically benchmark all the salespeople, and now you can also like switch from month to date to year to date with one click. Boom, and we have another view here, and then you can use all the nice features, like you can expand the others, because we actually have more salespeople in this company here, right? Something like this. So basically this would be now just like ad hoc analysis, basically anything. All right, since this is FP&A, let's do one more. Let's take different. Let's take just different data this time. So let's do some cost management, some cost versus budget, right? This is now the end of the year for all you controllers and FP&A people out there, right? So you're doing a lot of analysis versus your budget on a yearly basis. Also forecasting until the end of the year. You're well into your planning cycles, I guess. All right, Okay, so let's see. So this time I have some accounts, general ledger, GL accounts grouped into certain groups. I have cost centers and some cost owners and so on. So let's just check it. All right, it actually understood that this is a all right, semantic type other. That's good. So this is a business measure. Oh, and it understood that it has a negative impact, right? Because these are costs, expenses, right? AI actually understood. That's actually what I just wanted to check. So this column, it's a forecast, but again, forecast for the expenses. The impact is it has a negative impact on business results. Okay, so this looks okay. Let's just hit analyze and see what it will come up with. So again, trying to understand this time, this data set is from the finance domain. It's likely about various financial expenses categorized by type, market, and account groups over different time periods. All right, so this looks all healthy. Again, guys, this is live. All right. Okay, and as you see now, if you look closely, the colors are inverted, right? So now this part here is red. So we have a problem of overspending in our marketing. All right. It's actually not true for our company. This is demo data from a real project, actually. All right. And it's red, right? So basically the AI agent understood, all right, these are costs, if you overspend, it has a negative impact on the business. So it inverted the colors automatically, right? So, and again, and this time it's provided the variance the previous year to plan and to forecast. Of course, now if you don't need all this, you can control it on a level of each table or chart. So you can just like remove certain comparisons or something like that. Of course, you can change the types of visualization for each column specifically, something like this, right? So you can just tune it. You can resize everything, or you can also remove any visuals that are not really needed, and so on. All right. And now, of course, I can continue asking, the same questions about costs. All right. Why? All right. Okay. So we are actually within the budget, but the costs have grown quite a lot in marketing. So, so we could ask like, why have marketing costs, or why did marketing costs rise from previous year? It's a very simple question, right? So it's in reality, it's much better that you ask very specific questions, give agent more context with your question, because with short and open questions like this, you'll bump into maybe it won't understand you well, maybe it won't understand exactly the filter context, but you should think about AI agents today not as these magical oracles that are just giving you the right answers all the time, right? You just need to treat them as people. Okay, maybe they are right, maybe they're also wrong, right? So you should then have a conversation, right? If something is not okay, just ask another question, or ask it, are you sure? Right? And then it will go back, and because they do have a thought process, right? So which is quite interesting. So okay, let's see what happened here. Based on my analysis, I can now explain why my marketing costs rose from the previous year in specific months. All right, March and August surge. All right. Oh, yeah, that's true. So March, August surge. All right, that's interesting. The primary driver was massive increase in travel expenses, in certain costs, certain types of costs, right? And as you see, it's again, it filtered the whole data analysis to the marketing cost center, provided all the things. Oh, travel expenses. All right, guys, have been traveling too much? Or didn't have enough budget for that. Anyway, it's quite clear. All right, guys, let me just show the thought process here, so that this is one thing, right? With AI, try to check how is it thinking, right? With Zebra AI, you will see the thought process behind it, and it's quite interesting. And many times, it's doing things like calculating certain new KPIs, if you ask it like that, and then you can actually check exactly what code, even the code that it generated in order to calculate something, right? But it'll also tell you, what is it thinking, and how is it like trying to find the right columns and all that. All right, so these were the some of the live scenarios. Let me head back to my examples. I'll just give you a couple more examples before we close the session. So gross margin analysis. So if you have your revenue, and then you have your cost of goods sold, for example, AI will just calculate the gross profit and also gross margins for you, even though they are not in your data, right? And then it will give you an analysis. This is again a live case with this, and then so just calculate all the margins and do the variance analysis, how margins are improving and so on, even though they are not in your data, right? And the AI will think like, oh, user wants me to calculate gross margin as a percent of revenue, and looking at the data set, I can see that gross margin this year is in the data, right? But gross margin as an absolute value, right? And the sales, and then I need to calculate gross margin percent as gross margin this year divided by gross this year's sales times 100, which is exactly the right formula, right? And then it does that for previous year. You can check the code. And now then the next question would be like, and this is now the benchmark, external benchmarking, right? And then we asked, oh, now can you compare those margins with an industry standard, industry benchmark for retail? And actually then it's the analysis of internal data with industry benchmarks for gross margins in fashion retail. And then it actually returns all the margins and did the ranking of like the average overall margin of the company with different chains or brands in the company, and then the different compared to the standard industry benchmarks for fashion retail, right? So, okay, we saw the example with benchmarks, and then the last part would be, okay, once you have all this analysis, you work with your natural language, you can simply say, all right, just export this as my PowerPoint presentation, and boom, basically it will AI will create all the slides from the analysis that you have created, and you're good to go to a meeting, right? Check the data, maybe delete certain charts, or change a little bit, modify a little bit the messaging, and you're good to go, which of course will make you much more productive, in your work in FP&A. So this is already a reality today. The impact can be huge, but with caution. So definitely AI tools and agents will become focal points. They should. You should start experimenting with that. Definitely the shift will be from heavy manual tasks to extreme automation. And right, my guys are telling me that there's maybe an issue. Let's see. I hope you can hear me still. All right. I hope we're all good. Natural language analysis, so easier to work with in the future, and maybe, just maybe, we have come to the holy grail. Maybe the AI will be this technology, that would just help us find the holy grail of FP&A, which is that FP&A professionals will actually become business partners to the managements, and will focus on communication and decision making instead of copy and pasting the data from month to month and double checking all the data and calculating all things and so on. The AI will do that for you, and then you'll finally get to where FP&A actually should be, which is partner with the management and help them get to better decisions and help them improve the business, right? But for that, you do need the clean data. Data is the new oil, so potential massive wealth, but it needs to be refined and processed and consolidated and so on. So the new skills needed for the future: data integration, consolidation. You need to work together intensively with your IT and so on. Make sure that you get raw data from ERP, from your data warehouses and so on. Not just throw your little Excel files into something, but export larger data sets with a lot of history for a couple of years, many columns, and then use that with AI. Label the data with semantic labels, or create a semantic data model. You will have to understand have the overall knowledge of AI tools and methodologies, what's working, what's not working, because AI is much more than just ChatGPT, right? LLMs, and then also how to do the AI prompting and model usage. So some new skills are required, and AI champions. You need AI champions in finance, in your FP&A. You need maybe someone. Maybe you can borrow someone from IT, or start thinking maybe the next hire in FP&A should not be an FP&A professional, but an AI engineer or a data scientist, right? So it's probably what you need to do, and it's what the best teams in FP&A teams in best companies are doing today. And also introduce agile methods and experimentation, right? Do something in 2-week sprints. Try it, run an experiment, and see what works or not. And once it's done, put it in production. And this is what also we believe is the recipe for FP&A in the future. So FP&A won't be replaced by AI, but definitely FP&A with AI will replace FP&A without AI. All right. So these are some of the companies that we are working with. We have had good results with some of these companies, and also some other companies that we are working with. So they all testified around automated workflow, insight-driven reporting, and so on. So it's real. It's real. You can get quite a lot of value, and you can automate a lot of tasks already today. So I invite everyone to just go to zebraai.com and just log in. The basic version is free. There's also a free trial, so you can start using it, start testing, start playing around with different data sets and so on. And then you can probably also combine this with reporting in Power BI or in Office, as we have seen with PowerPoint and Excel. Here at Zebra BI, we have a full product portfolio, so it's not just Zebra AI. It works seamlessly also with Power BI, within Power BI, and also within Fabric, and it is integrated really well with Office, with Excel, and PowerPoint. And so you can explore further solutions that we have, and especially the resources. We will share those resources. There are lots of other webinars and webinar recordings available today. We have an academy for Power BI and other resources, also for AI. So make sure that you check those links and explore the topics further. All right, let's take a couple of questions now.
Yes. Thanks everyone for a lot of questions in the chat. We tried to answer many of them. There's a few ones that I think are important to address live, let's say. And the first one that I should elaborate is this one from Thomas. So essentially, is this model and any uploaded data running on premises or in the cloud services? Cloud services or EU data protection requirements guaranteed? I want to elaborate a bit further on the security aspects of Zebra AI, and let me see if I can share my slides. Just a second. I don't see. All right. Good. So I hope you see my screen now. So essentially, I have a few slides prepared regarding security and our service. I want to quickly elaborate around that. So we have multiple different versions of Zebra AI running. The one that Andrei just interacted with is the publicly hosted version. And by default, this version has a lot of security and data privacy concerns addressed out of the box. So we don't ever, any data that you upload, we don't really store. We only have it in memory for the duration of the session to perform the analysis, but it's never stored. We don't offer any cloud storage. We don't train any of your, or we don't train any AI models on your data. We ensure that our whole infrastructure is secured and encrypted. Even when connecting to Power BI, which I also noticed was a question, I'll get to that in a second, you only get the data that the user is allowed to see, which is completely controlled within Power BI itself. And you're able to, whenever, remove your data. Now, we do use cloud services for AI reasoning. And these are hosted in EU as well as the US. However, there is another option for clients who are very have strict security policies, which is an enterprise offering where you can host the whole application essentially within your own cloud tenant on Azure. So the whole service with the backend, and you can control essentially the AI models that you want to connect. And this can be separate or dedicated deployments that you might have of, let's say, Azure OpenAI models, or it can be even open source models in the end. But obviously the current like closed source models, the state-of-the-art models work best inside Zebra AI. And for this version, for this offer, which it's very new and we're preparing to release it in the beginning of next year, there's a lot more control that you have in terms of IT and security. You can isolate the whole application from the internet, have very strict control of who you let access the application. Your data doesn't need to leave your tenant at all or your network. So there's a lot more control for those types of clients. So I hope that answers the question. And at this point, I'll stop sharing this screen. And the next question I want to address is actually Power BI. So I saw this asked a few times. Can we show a quick demo of how Power BI connection works? And I would be very happy to do that really quickly right now. So let me share my screen one more time. All right. There you go. I'm now in Zebra AI. So essentially, we have this button called Power BI on the start page of the application, which you just click. At this point, it's going to prompt you to sign in into your Microsoft account, and you're going to have to accept some permissions. If you don't have those, then you'll need to contact your admin to give you the permissions to read Power BI datasets, essentially from your Power BI tenant. And once that is done, you'll be able to continue and you'll be able to select a dataset from either your own workspace or some shared workspaces. There is some differences between premium and non-premium workspaces, different limitations. However, let me just try to connect to, I'm going to select a workspace. that I have in Power BI, and I'm going to select one of the data sets. This is going to list all of the data sets in your workspace, and I'm just going to select, so for example, this one, regional performance. And now you'll be able to find all the tables, all the different metrics, and you'll be able to basically pre-select some of the data that you want to analyze, which then you can feed into Zebra AI. You can also let AI help you with choosing if you just want to test it, for example. All right, I'm happy with this, let's say. I'm just going to get rid of this date. Otherwise, this looks good. I'm going to execute it. And now it's going to retrieve the data from Power BI into the system. And you're going to be able to continue just like with files, analyze the data, and essentially the experience is going to be completely the same as before with files. So yeah, here I have the result, and I can continue exploring and so forth.
So maybe Benjamin, we could also add like so you can connect to Power BI, data sets, also premium Power BI data sets, and also you are logged into your Power BI under your name, right? So you're not seeing data you're not supposed to see. So if you have row level security setup or something, this is being respected, and it's a great way to actually analyze Power BI data, right? And then there's a third option, which also we have to mention here. On top of Power BI, there's a version for Zebra BI for Fabric, so you can actually use it inside Fabric. So if you have a Fabric SKU already set up, or if you have a free trial for Fabric, there's a workload, Zebra AI workload, that runs natively inside Fabric, and it's integrated into OneLake, right, Benjamin? Which unlocks all on top of what we have seen on top of Power BI datasets. It also unlocks OneLake databases. Right, anything from like relational like databases to tabular models and so on. So those are three options. Yeah,
exactly. All right, then the third question that I want to address is actually connected to hallucinations and different concerns about how Zebra AI works, or under the hood, how can we check that the results that it's produced are correct? And this is a very valid concern. And I want to also maybe illustrate a few ways you can do this. So Andrei already talked about Andrei already talked about it, like the reasoning log that we have done with our chat agent. But let me just, okay, I have to stop sharing, and let me just share my screen one last time to demonstrate a few more things that we have in our product. So essentially, we use tools like pre-validated data transformations in the background to perform all the different data transformations that you might want to perform to get to the results. And those are actually available in this visual explanation tab. So for all the different visuals, whenever possible, we get like a full context of how this data slice was prepared, which filters were applied, which, here we have year-to-date aggregation. And then for each of the measures, we also have an explanation of how the data was aggregated, grouped and aggregated. So this gives you, and you have the numbers to double check on your own as well. So that's one way. And the second one is like Andrei demonstrated. There's also this thought process. And in the cases where the AI is also trying to construct additional transformations, so these are for cases where you want to generate additional data that is not inside the raw data set itself, then it's going to write additional Python code to execute and to show the results, and there you can validate those code snippets as well. Yeah. So this is quickly on that note. I'll stop sharing my screen now.
So maybe just a quick comment here. So I was at a conference two weeks ago, right? And they asked me if something is wrong, right? If the data is not correct, the analysis is not correct, who is now to blame? You or AI? And the answer is, unfortunately, it's still you. So so definitely you definitely need to check, right? And you need to understand the limits of this technology, what works, what doesn't work. Like Zebra AI is much better for data analysis than LLMs like ChatGPT services and others, right? Because it has all these tools and so on. It's not LLM, right? It's an agent specific for data visualization, reporting, and dashboarding. So it has these things in place, but it can still when you use it as a tool, you go back and forth maybe a couple of times, and you check all these things. That's why we have built those controls into the product itself, right? And this is the point where you as a professional should be at least technical, at least to the point to check things. All right, check what was the thought process, check the formulas that are exposed, and make sure that okay, it was the right formula, it was the right slice of data, the right filter context. So that's why we are exposing all this, but in the end you're still responsible. But of course we were doing everything to minimize the level of hallucinations with all these technologies that Benjamin has mentioned.
All right. Thanks, Andrei. I think we're actually going to wrap it up here.
Yeah,
so
let's take
thanks
one.
Everyone for all
Let's take it's all right.
Yeah,
we have time for one more, so you can ask. You can choose one more, or we wrap it up.
Let me see.
One quick one. Otherwise, we wrap it up.
All right. Maybe this one. Can I save these prompts as a standard and go from there next month? This is a good question. The short answer is yes. And also we're expanding on this use case. So this is a very popular use case. You might have new data, but you want to use like the same template, the same dashboard that you've prepared, and you want to ask additional questions. This is already possible to do with Power BI connections to set up in Zebra AI, where you set up the data connection once with the initial story, the initial dashboard, and then you're able to actually create copies and reconnect with your new data at a later time, have the same skeleton prepared, and then continue asking questions with your new data.
Yeah, just refresh every month or every week, and see the new story unfold automatically.
And in addition to that, we're actually starting next year, we're preparing some improvements to that use case in terms of the experience. So definitely stay tuned for that. With that, I'd like to wrap it up. Thanks for all the questions. For all the ones that we did not manage to answer today, you will get the responses relatively soon in the coming weeks via email. So stay tuned for that for sure. And thanks again, everyone. Andrei, you wanna close it off?
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Now is the time to subscribe to our channels and so on, so that you'll receive invitations to the next webinars in the next year. Of course, we are planning them. So make sure you subscribe and follow us on LinkedIn, where we announce new webinars coming very, very soon in the next year. So I wish everyone a great year ahead. Where hopefully you will be much more productive and AI will work for you, and you'll just drink coffee and check a little bit things and then have a discussions and propel your business further with the help of AI, hopefully also with the help of Zebra AI. So now is the time you check it, and then see you at the next webinar. Thank you.